Port Harcourt never slept. Even when night pressed its humid fingers against the city's glass towers, generators hummed like restless spirits and headlights carved gold paths through the mist. From her 12th-floor penthouse in Old GRA, Lady Nenechek stood before the wide window, watching the city pulse below, a body alive with money, noise, and unspoken hunger. She wore grief like perfume, invisible, expensive, and unmistakable. It had been 5 years since the sudden death of her husband, Senator Obinechek, the Lion of Rivers State. To the public, she was the image of strength, composed in Ankara silk, her every move deliberate, her every word dipped in dignity. To her staff, she was Madam with the quiet eyes. But within her walls, the silence was thick enough to bruise. Every evening, she poured herself a glass of palm wine she never finished. The wine had been Obina's favorite. Palm wine sweet only when shared, he used to say, laughter ringing through their home like sunlight on water. Now, she kept the bottle for memory's sake, a small rebellion against forgetting. The world still bowed to her. She chaired the Obinechek Foundation, attended oil magnates' galas, and smiled for cameras. But when night came and the city sighed, she sat by the balcony, listening to the sea wind whisper through the palms. That was when the loneliness returned, not as a wound, but as a shadow she'd learned to live beside. Tonight, the air carried a heaviness, a scent of rain. Thunder rolled somewhere beyond Diobo, echoing off the refinery stacks. She looked down from her window and saw the first drops hitting the pavement, spreading like tiny oil stains. Her housekeeper, Mama Tobe, knocked softly. "Madam, you no go eat your dinner." "I'm not hungry," Nena said without turning. Mama Tobe sighed, her wrapper rustling. Even the strong trees still need water, oh." Nena smiled faintly. "And what if the tree is tired of standing?" "Then it must still stand," the older woman said firmly. "Because small birds still they find shade under 'em." The words struck her gently. Small birds. Shade. Nena thought of her husband's children from before their marriage, both grown now, scattered across foreign cities. None had visited in years. The house felt like a shrine, untouched by laughter, untouched by chance. Outside, lightning split the sky, and the heavens broke open. The rain came in sheets, drumming against the city's tin roofs and glass towers alike. From her window, she saw the chaos unfold below, taxis swerving, umbrellas flipping, vendors clutching their wares. Port Harcourt rain was never polite, it demanded surrender. Her phone buzzed, a message from Chief Amodi, an old political ally now turned suitor. "Still awake, Nena? I could send my driver with wine. The rain won't bite." She deleted the message without reply. The thunder deepened, and for a long moment, she stood watching the world blur. Her reflection on the glass stared back, elegant, uneged, but hollow-eyed. Somewhere beyond that reflection, life continued. Children still ran barefoot through puddles. Love still grew in places untouched by wealth. But her world had narrowed to marble floors and long corridors of silence. Then, faintly, from far below, through the wind and rain, she heard something strange. A cry. Not the cry of thunder, but of children. Nena leaned forward, squinting through the sheet of water. On the flooded street outside her compound gate, a small figure moved, someone struggling against the storm. He was barely more than a boy, no older than 16 or 17, his shirt plastered to his skin, carrying something, 2 bundles, close to his chest. The gate guards had taken shelter in their booth, oblivious. The boy stumbled once, almost fell, then righted himself, cradling the bundles tighter. A car splashed past, drenching him further. One of the bundles, now clearly a baby wrapped in wet cloth, let out a piercing wail. Nena's breath caught. Without thinking, she turned from the window. Mama Tobe. The old woman appeared instantly. Madam. There's someone outside. A boy with children. He'll drown in that rain if. Before she could finish, thunder cracked again. Something in her chest, instinct, perhaps, or memory, pushed her forward. She grabbed her shawl, ignoring Mama Tope's protests. Madam. Where you dey go? Open the gate. Within moments, she was in the foyer, the heavy door swinging open. The rain met her like a wall of cold glass. She could barely see 2 meters ahead, but she followed the faint sound of crying, her sandals splashing through the puddles. There, by the gate's corner, the boy had collapsed to his knees. The babies, twins, barely a year old, were pressed to his chest, shivering and wailing. His lips were trembling, his eyes wide and frightened when he looked up at her. Please, he gasped, voice hoarse. Auntie, help us. Nana froze. The sight was almost biblical, a child begging the heavens for mercy, clutching innocence in his arms. The rain fell harder, flattening her shawl against her back. Who are you? She demanded, though her tone was more concern than command. My name is Chuka, he stammered. Please, I no get anywhere to go. The babies, they be my responsibility. I just dey find shelter. His accent was thick with the rhythm of the street, the kind born from selling sachet water and dodging kiki riders. She studied his face, the sharp angles of hunger and determination. Something in his eyes, a familiar shade of brown, caught her breath for a second. Come inside, she said at last. Before the rain kills you. Mama Tope's protest died on her lips when she saw the babies. Chinik. Twins, she whispered, hurrying ahead to fetch towels. As they stepped into the marble foyer, dripping and shivering, Nana looked at the twins again, 2 small faces framed by curls, one boy, one girl. Their skin was light, their features delicate, eerily reminiscent of someone she could not yet name. Outside, the storm roared over Port Harcourt, unrelenting. But within her glass tower, something new had entered, something small, fragile, and alive. And though she did not yet know it, the storm that began outside would soon reach the depths of her soul. The generator hummed like distant thunder as the rain battered the roof. Inside the marble foyer of Lady Nena Chike's mansion, the air smelled of wet cloth and fear. Chuka stood near the door, shivering, his clothes clinging to his thin frame. Mama Tope hovered around him like a mother hen, spreading towels on the floor and muttering prayers. The twins lay bundled in warm blankets now, tiny fists curled, their cries slowly fading into tired whimpers. Nena stood still, her shawl dripping rainwater, her eyes locked on the children. They looked almost identical, one with a faint birthmark under the left eye, the other with a small swirl of hair at the crown. The boy was the louder of the two, kicking his tiny legs in defiance of the storm. The girl was quiet, her lips quivering as though she dreamed of peace. Mama Tope spoke first. Madam, see as them small. Rain for kill them if you no come out. I didn't plan to go out, Nene murmured, still staring. I just had them. She turned to Chuka. Where are your parents? He hesitated, eyes darting between her and the guard now watching from the door. Them don't die, Ma. Since when I small? And the babies? You said they're your responsibility. Are they yours? Chuka's throat moved as he swallowed. No, Ma. Not mine. Then whose are they? He looked down at the twins, running a thumb gently over the girl's cheek. Their mama died for accident. Nami wey dey with her that day. Nena frowned. What accident? Motor jam for GRA Junction. His words came haltingly, half in English, half in raw street pidgin. I dey sell pure water for there. Noshiwe crossed the road carried these 2 babies for hand. Rain start, motorcade, before we fit shout, he stopped, pressing his lips together. She died instantly. Mama Tobe gasped softly, clutching her wrapper. Nene felt something tighten in her chest. And the babies. Them they cry. Nobody know who she be. I check her bag, no ID, no phone we still work. I just carry them go shelter. Rain no gree stop. So you brought them here, she said slowly. He shook his head. I no even know say not here. I just dey walker, they find somewhere with light. Then one car splash water for me. I turn small corner, next thing, I collapse near your gate. The thunder outside punctuated his last words. For a long while, the only sound was the rain. Nene's mind turned like slow gears. The boy's story sounded half impossible, a street hawker saving orphan twins in the middle of a storm. Yet something about his tone, his trembling hands clutching the babies, carried truth. Mama Tobe, ever the mother, broke the silence. Madam, them need food. And this boy need dry cloth before he catch pneumonia. Take him to the staff quarters, Nena said. Give him something to eat. I'll call Dr. Ogu for the children. As Mama Tobe led Chuka away, Nena crouched beside the couch where the twins now slept. The boy's tiny hand had found his sister's, their fingers intertwined as if they were born understanding that the world could be cruel. She brushed a strand of hair from the girl's forehead. There was something in that face, a softness she recognized but couldn't place. Her heart beat slower, heavier. The doctor arrived half an hour later, a stocky man with tired eyes and a briefcase full of concern. He examined the babies carefully, murmuring professional reassurances. They are dehydrated, but strong. You did the right thing bringing them in, madam. They were brought, Nena corrected. By a stranger. Dr. Ogu looked up briefly. A good stranger, perhaps. When he left, leaving medicine and powdered milk behind, the mansion fell silent again. The rain had calmed, leaving behind the soft drip of water from the eaves. Nena walked slowly toward her late husband's portrait that hung above the staircase, Obinechike, smiling that confident smile that once charmed half the state. His eyes, brown and unwavering, seemed to follow her. She whispered, almost to herself, who were those children's parents? Her question was swallowed by the quiet. Later that night, she went to the guest quarters. Chuka had eaten and bathed. He now sat on the edge of the bed wearing one of the guard's old shirts. He stood instantly when she entered. Sit, she said gently. He obeyed, head bowed. What will you do now? I no, Ma. You can't go back into the rain with 2 infants. I no go leave them, he said quickly, his tone firm despite his youth. Them no get anybody, and the woman before she die hold my hand. She said protect them. I no fit fail her. Nena studied him. There was a raw loyalty in his words, one that reminded her painfully of a younger Obina, when he too spoke of promises and destiny. Rest tonight, she said quietly. We'll talk tomorrow. As she turned to go, Chuka asked timidly, Madam, thank you. She paused at the doorway. Don't thank me yet. In her room, sleep did not come. The storm outside had passed, but another one brewed within her. Her dreams, when they came, were filled with voices she thought she'd forgotten, Obina's laughter, the sound of rain on their wedding day, a faint cry that sounded like a child calling her name. When dawn broke, Port Harcourt shimmered under the weight of last night's storm. The palms glistened, the roads steamed, and the city pretended nothing had happened. But inside the Chike mansion, fate had already stepped quietly through the open gate. And though Lady Nene did not yet know it, the twins sleeping under her roof carried within them a secret that would turn her life inside out. The morning after the storm was the kind of deceptive calm that only Port Harcourt knew. The air was thick with the scent of wet dust, diesel, and blooming hibiscus. Palm fronds bent lazily over the Chike mansion's gates as if bowing to a secret none of them could name. From the balcony of her bedroom, Lady Nene Chike watched the city awaken. Cars honked impatiently beyond the high walls, hawkers' voices floated from the distance. Yet the usual rhythm that steadied her felt strange today. The world seemed quieter, heavier, as if the rain had washed something invisible to the surface. Below, in the staff quarters, she saw movement. Chuka stood outside, shirt untucked, trying awkwardly to hand the blankets the twins had soiled overnight. One of the babies, the boy, was strapped to his chest in a wrapper far too big for him. The other slept in a basket beside a chair, her tiny fingers twitching. He looked painfully young in the morning light. Nene felt a flicker of disbelief. This street boy, who had appeared from the storm like a stray note in a forgotten song, was now standing in her compound caring for two infants as if they were his blood. She wanted to look away, to remind herself that it wasn't her concern. But she didn't. Mama Tobe, she called softly as the housekeeper entered with a tray. Has the boy eaten? Yes, madam. Small gary and fish soup this morning. He no one eat much. He say make the twins chop first. Bring him to me when he's done, Nena said. Mama Tobe nodded, balancing the tray. Madam, this kind thing get spirit. Oh, rain no just carry person reach your gate for nothing. No sign. Nene gave her a tired smile. Sign or coincidence, we will see. When Chuka was led in, he bowed awkwardly, holding the twins' basket. He tried to tidy his hair, but the curls still stuck out rebelliously. His eyes, deep brown and alert, shifted between curiosity and fear. Sit, Nena said. He obeyed immediately. What do you plan to do now? She asked. He hesitated. I fit find work, ma. Anything. I no go beg. Just make I stay near them small until I fit know wetin to do. You said you don't know who the mother was. Yes, ma. And you don't know who their father is either. His silence answered for him. She leaned forward slightly. Why take this burden, Chuka? You're a child yourself. His jaw tightened. Because nobody take care of me when I small. If God put them for my hand, maybe no make I no repeat that mistake. Nene felt something shift inside her, a painful recognition. Once, long ago, before she became Lady Chike, she too had sworn never to let the world turn cold around her heart. But the world had a way of teaching cruelty. She sighed softly. For now, you will stay here, she said. Only until we find the children's relatives. His eyes widened. Madam, you mean I do. But you must follow rules. You will not go beyond the compound without permission. You will keep the babies clean, fed, and quiet. Understood? Yes, ma. Thank you, ma. He looked down, tears of relief trembling at the corners of his eyes. Don't thank me, she said again. Just do right by them. He nodded and left quietly. But as he reached the door, the baby girl in the basket began to cry, a soft, lilting wail that echoed faintly against the marble walls. Nena instinctively stepped forward. The sound was hauntingly familiar. She reached out and lifted the baby gently, rocking her as she'd done once, years ago, before hope had left her hands. Her touch calmed the child instantly. The crying faded to a whimper, then silence. The girl's small hand gripped Nena's necklace, a golden pendant shaped like the Chike family crest. For a strange, fleeting moment, it felt as though destiny itself had reached for her. When Nena looked up, she found Chuka staring at her with quiet wonder. She like you, he said simply. She doesn't know me. Sometimes, children know better than big people, he replied, voice soft but sure. Mama Tobe entered, breaking the strange spell. Madam, Dr. Oguko. Say him won't come check the babies again tomorrow. Tell him he's welcome, Nena said, gently laying the baby back into the basket. And get them proper clothes. Not these rags. Chuka tried to protest. Auntie, you don't need. Enough, she interrupted. They are under my roof now. Let me do what is proper. When they left, she stood by the window again, staring at the street beyond the tall palms. Memories came uninvited, the day she buried her husband, the whispers that followed about his secret life, the woman from Port Harcourt who had come claiming he'd promised her a future before politics swallowed him whole. Nena had silenced those rumors then. But now, watching the twins' faces, she felt a chill run through her. Later that day, while sorting through paperwork in her study, she called her private secretary. Chioma, she said, find me the police report for any female accident victims from last night. GRA Junction, around 9 or 10 p.m. Right away, Ma, the secretary replied, surprised by her tone. Nena hung up, fingers tapping absently against the desk. There was a reason that baby's face had felt like a mirror. It wasn't just compassion that had made her open the gate, it was recognition, the whisper of a truth she wasn't ready to name. That evening, she joined the twins in the guest quarters for feeding. Chuka had learned to mix the formula under Mama Tobe's supervision. The boy twin giggled as milk dribbled down his chin, while the girl, quiet as ever, fixed her gaze on Nena whenever she entered the room. She fine, ABI. Mama Tobe said with pride. See as she dey look you, madam. As if she saw you before. Nena smiled faintly, though her chest tightened. Perhaps she does. The rain had stopped, but the city sky was still grey. When Nena finally retired for the night, she walked past her husband's study, untouched since his death. The smell of old cologne and paper still lingered. On the desk lay a framed photo of him, shaking hands with political allies. She turned it face down. Obina, she whispered, what secrets did you leave behind? Somewhere in the guest quarters, the twins stirred in their sleep. The girl whimpered once, then settled again, her tiny breath steady, rhythmic, unknowing of the storm that still waited beyond the calm. Outside, the palm tree swayed softly, as though bowing again, not to the wind, but to fate itself. By midweek, Port Harcourt had returned to its usual rhythm, generators grumbling, tankers honking along ABA Road, and the air thick with petrol fumes and gossip. But inside Lady Nena Chik's mansion, the air held a different kind of tension, quiet, watchful, and strange. The twins had changed everything. Their cries, laughter, and tiny feet had filled the marble halls that once echoed only with silence. Even the staff moved differently now, softer, more careful, as if the house itself had remembered how to breathe. Yet for Nena, the new sound of life brought an unease she could not name. On the third morning after the storm, her secretary Chioma arrived with a slim brown folder. Madam, I bring the police report you requested, she said, lowering her voice. About that accident near GRA Junction. Nena nodded. Sit down. Chioma hesitated before speaking. According to the report, the woman who died had no identification on her. She was carrying 2 infants, twins, about 1 year old. Witnesses said a teenage hawker tried to help her before she passed. That must be the boy. Yes, Nena murmured. Chuka. Chioma opened the folder further. They sent her picture from the morgue for confirmation. She slid a printed photo across the table. Nena braced herself, but even then, the sight still hit her like wind after lightning. The woman in the picture, her face pale under the morgue's light, was young, no more than 25. Her features were unmistakably Igbo, delicate, with soft cheekbones and eyes that even death had not dimmed. But what struck Nena hardest was the familiarity. That curve of the jaw. The faint dimple. The shape of her mouth, the same as Obina's. She swallowed hard. Was her name found? No, Ma. They are still checking hospitals and birth records. Keep digging, Nena said quietly. After Chioma left, Nena sat still for a long time. The morning sun slid across the table, touching the edge of the photograph. Could it be possible? 5 years ago, before his sudden death, Obina had spent increasing amounts of time in Port Harcourt under the guise of community outreach. She had dismissed the whispers then, the insinuations that he kept another woman somewhere near the waterfront. Obina was a man of charm and weakness in equal measure. She had learned to live with both. But to think he might have left behind not just betrayal, but children. Her gaze drifted toward the window, where the palm tree swayed gently. Obina, she whispered, what have you done? That afternoon, she visited the guest quarters under the guise of checking on the twins. Chuka was there, humming an old Igbo lullaby as he cleaned their feeding bottles. The twins giggled from their woven cot. Where did you learn that song? She asked softly. He jumped a little, startled. Oh, madam, I no say you dey there. My mama used to sing and before she died. It's beautiful, she said. It sounds like something from soccer. Chuka smiled faintly. Not true, Ma. My papa talks away from there before we move come Port Harcourt. She nodded, studying him more closely. He had Obina's stubborn jawline. Or was that her imagination? Do you remember anything else about the woman from that night? She asked. Anything, she said. Chuka frowned, trying to recall. Before she died, she held my hand. She talked small Igbo. Say, protect them, they are his light. I no even know who she mean. His light. The word struck Nena like a hidden note in a song she thought she'd forgotten. She thanked him quietly and left, her mind swirling. That phrase, his light, was something Obina often said. Whenever the political storms raged, he'd put his hand on her shoulder and whisper, Nena, you are my light. By evening, she could no longer dismiss the feeling. She called her lawyer, Barrister Onwechekwa, a lawyer but discreet man. Barrister, she said, her voice low, I need a favor. Quietly. Yes, Ma. I want a DNA test conducted on 2 children currently under my care. Compare them to a sample from my late husband's belongings. There was a long pause. You suspect something, madam? I want to confirm something, she said. Handle it with utmost secrecy. As you wish. When she hung up, her hands were trembling slightly. She poured herself a drink, palm wine, again, and stared at it. The twins' laughter floated faintly through the open window. The sound made her chest ache. She wanted to hate them, to resent what they might represent, but she couldn't. The girl's quiet eyes, the boys' laughter, they drew her in like old melodies. That night, she dreamed. In the dream, she stood again at her husband's graveside, the air heavy with rain and red earth. The twins were there too, clutching her hands, their eyes luminous in the gloom. From the grave, she heard Obina's voice, deep, warm, sorrowful. Nena, the sins of the fathers are not always buried with them. She woke with a gasp, her sheets damp with sweat. The following day, she went to the foundation's office as if nothing had changed. She chaired a board meeting, approved scholarships, and smiled for a journalist photo. But her mind remained trapped between past and present. When she returned home that evening, the mansion felt strangely alive. The twins were crawling now, giggling as Chuka chased them gently across the rug. Mama Tob was clapping in rhythm, laughing in a way Nena hadn't heard in years. For the first time in a long while, the house was full of sound, not the sound of power or wealth, but life. Yet Nena stood at the doorway, unable to step fully inside. The shadow of the past loomed just behind her, whispering its truth in every heartbeat. Soon, she thought. Soon the blood will speak. And when it does, nothing will ever be the same again. 3 weeks passed, and the mansion on ABA Road changed shape in subtle ways. The corridors that once echoed with silence now hummed softly with lullabies and laughter. The staff had grown used to the rhythm of small feet and midnight crying. Even the guards, once stone-faced, smiled when the boy twin crawled toward them at the gate, his giggles spilling like rainwater over stone. To the city, Lady Nenechek remained the poised widow of the late senator, a woman of legacy and quiet power. But within her walls, she was unraveling. Each night she waited for the call that would confirm what her heart already feared. Each morning she told herself it was foolishness, that grief was playing tricks, that her imagination was trying to fill the silence Obinna left behind. But the twins looked more like him with every sunrise. The girl, Edeora, had his gentle eyes, soft brown pools that seemed to see through things. The boy, Somto, had his smile, crooked on one side, wide on the other, the kind that made people trust him instantly. Even Chuka had begun to notice. "Madam," he said one afternoon while feeding Somto, "this Pekin smile like one big man way I see for newspaper before." Nena had looked up sharply. "Which man?" He frowned, thinking. "One senator like that. I no remember name." Her spoon clattered against the table. "Eat your food, Chuka." He obeyed quietly, though his curious eyes lingered. That night, the phone finally rang. It was Barrister Onwechekwa. "Madam," he began carefully, "the results from the DNA analysis came in this afternoon." Nena's throat tightened. And there was a pause. She could hear papers rustling, a sigh. The twins share a direct paternal match with the late Senator Obinna Chaik. Silence filled the line like water. "Both of them?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "Yes, madam. There is no doubt." Her hand trembled as she lowered the phone. Outside, the wind picked up again, stirring the palms. She could almost hear Obinna's voice, laughing, that same easy laughter that used to melt her defenses. But now, it sounded cruel. She didn't go downstairs for hours. She sat in her late husband's study instead, surrounded by his trophies and smiling portraits. On the desk lay his fountain pen, his old campaign files, and a framed photo of the two of them, Nena in her white lace, Obinna in his signature white kaftan, their smiles hiding the distance that had already begun to grow. She whispered, "So it was true. He had betrayed her, not just with another woman, but with a whole hidden life." The young woman from the accident wasn't just a stranger, she was the mother of his secret children. "His light," she'd said. "His light." A bitter laugh escaped Nena's lips. "His light, yes. And his shadow, too." She poured herself palm wine but couldn't drink it. It tasted of loss. The next morning, she called for Chuka. He entered hesitantly, holding Edeora in his arms. "Sit," she said. He did, eyes searching her face. "Madam, you no fine today. You dey sick." "I'm not sick," she replied. "Just thinking." She studied the boy carefully. "You said that woman asked you to protect them. Did she say anything else? Any name?" Chuka frowned. "Only that they're proper big man." She took him before she faint. Nena inhaled slowly. "They're proper big man. Indeed." "Chuka," she said at last, "if I told you these children have family, rich family, would you let them go?" He looked shocked. Go. To who? To people who can provide for them. He shook his head fiercely. No, Ma. I know fit. I promise that woman before God say I go protect them. I go die first before I leave them. His words pierced her, their sincerity, their simplicity. He didn't know the full story, yet his loyalty was absolute. Even if I told you the truth, she asked softly. He met her gaze without flinching. Truth or lie, I no go leave them. Something inside her broke then, not with anger, but with a strange, fragile admiration. She envied his purity. How easy it must be to love without history. She dismissed him gently. Go and rest. I'll call you later. When he left, she looked down at the twins playing on the carpet, Obina's children. His blood. And now, by fate or foolishness, has to protect. That evening, Chief Amodi came by unannounced, his column preceding him like a herald. He was one of Obina's oldest political allies, a man of laughter and ambition, but not without envy. Nena, my dear, he greeted, settling into the armchair. Long time. I hear you've turned your house into a daycare. Her expression didn't change. Children were found abandoned. I couldn't turn them away. He hummed, swallowing his drink. You have such a soft heart. But be careful, sometimes pity invites scandal. Is that a warning, Chief? He smiled. A friendly one. People talk. They say these twins might be connected to, well, the late lion himself. Nena's eyes darkened. People say too much. He leaned closer. And sometimes they say the truth. If the story spreads, the family might come after those children. You could lose everything Obina left you. She said nothing. Her silence made him uneasy. Nena, he continued, you're too proud to let ghosts destroy your peace. Send those children away. Don't let the past drag your name into the mud. She rose slowly, towering above him. Chief, the past already lives in this house. I don't need your warning, or your pity. He chuckled awkwardly and stood. You always did have fire. But remember, the law favors blood, not sympathy. When he left, the echo of his words lingered. The law favors blood. She walked back to the twins' room. Eudora was asleep, her hand curled around Somto's. They looked peaceful, unburdened by the sins of the dead. Nena whispered, you did not ask to be born. But you are mine now, by storm, by truth, by grace. Her tears fell silently onto the edge of the crib. Outside, the palms rustled again, not with the violence of the first storm, but with the gentler rhythm of something reborn. And somewhere deep within, the blood that spoke had begun to heal what betrayal had broken. The next week unfolded like a dream that refused to end, a dream stitched together with confusion, love, and quiet rage. The results of the DNA test burned in Lady Nene Chaik's desk drawer like a living thing. Every time she passed that room, she felt its presence, whispering through the mahogany, they are his blood. To the world, she carried on. She hosted the annual charity gala for the Obina Chaik Foundation, greeted ministers' wives with measured grace, and gave an eloquent speech about the children of tomorrow. Cameras flashed, wine flowed, and everyone praised her poise. But when the applause faded and the guests drove away, she sat alone in the back of her car, staring at her reflection in the dark window. Who was she now, the widow of a lion, or the mother of his secrets? At home, the atmosphere was different. The twins had begun to crawl faster, their laughter spilling through the corridors like new sunlight. Chuka was their shadow, feeding, bathing, and humming them to sleep. Sometimes Nena watched from a distance, a strange ache in her chest. The boy had a way of moving that carried both humility and pride, like someone born into hardship but raised by hope. One afternoon, while Eudora dozed, she called him to her study. Chuka, she began, how long have you lived on the streets? He scratched his head. Since small, maybe 5 years old. I no even remember my people again. Did anyone ever try to help you? Some. But I no trust them. People they promise, but them no mean am. Nor why I trust only myself until that woman. The woman who died. He nodded. She treat me like person. Say I be strong, say make I no fear. Nena's gaze softened. And now? Now I get the twins, he said simply, smiling faintly. They be my reason. His innocence disarmed her. She wanted to tell him everything, that the children he guarded so fiercely were the offspring of the man who had broken her heart. But she couldn't. Not yet. Instead, she said, you have done well, Chuka. You've kept your promise. He blinked, surprised by the praise. Thank you, Ma. And if one day, someone tried to take them from you? He straightened, his young face hardening. Then them go fight me first. That answer, fierce and pure, made her smile. I see. Later that evening, Barrister Onwochekwa came by quietly. He was the only man who knew the full truth. Madam, he said gently, you must decide what happens next. Legally, the twins belong to the Chike estate. If the public learns they are the late senator's children, his relatives could claim custody. Nena's jaw tightened. His relatives who turned their backs on him the moment the money stopped flowing. Yes, madam. But the law doesn't care for loyalty. Only bloodlines. Bloodlines, she repeated bitterly. Always bloodlines. The barrister hesitated. You could claim guardianship quietly, without disclosing paternity. It would require careful paperwork. She turned to the window. The city lights shimmered in the distance, their glow faint through the mist. Do it, she said. Whatever it takes. Those children will not leave my house. Understood. When he left, she poured palm wine again but didn't drink it. She carried the cup to the nursery instead. The twins were asleep. Adora's little hand had fallen open, her fingers relaxed as though she trusted the world completely. Somto stirred once, mumbling in his baby dream. She stood watching them, the tears silent this time. You are innocent, she whispered. Even if he was not. But fate has a cruel sense of timing. 2 days later, as the sun dipped behind the mangroves, a convoy of black SUVs rode up to her gate. Chief Amodi stepped out, flanked by 2 lawyers and a stern-looking woman in a blue wrapper, Obina's elder sister, Auntie Kizoba. The guard announced their arrival with trembling hands. Nena received them in the drawing room, poised but wary. Chief, she said coldly. You don't usually bring company. Amodi smiled like a man too pleased with himself. You've been keeping secrets, my dear. The kind that concern the Chike family. Kizoba stepped forward. Her resemblance to Obina was striking, same proud chin, same sharp tongue. So it's true, then, she said. You've been hiding my late brother's children in your house. Nena's voice was calm. I have sheltered 2 orphans who were found in the rain. Nothing more. Don't insult us, Kizoba snapped. We've seen the reports. DNA doesn't lie. The room fell silent. Nena felt her pulse in her throat. You had no right. I had every right, Kizoba interrupted. Those children are Chikes. Their blood is ours. And we won't let them be raised under your roof, where bitterness lives. For the first time in years, something inside Nena snapped. She stood, her voice like tempered steel. Bitterness. You speak of bitterness when your brother betrayed me in life and left me ghost in death. I could have left them to die in the storm, Kezoba. But I didn't. I chose mercy, something you and your kind know nothing about. Amodi raised his hands. Ladies, please. Stay out of this, Nena said sharply. Kezoba's eyes glinted. If you truly loved him, Nena, you'd let his children bear his name. Not hide them like shame. They already bear his name, she said softly. Even if the world never knows. The words hung between them, quiet, final. Kezoba turned on her heel. Then prepare yourself. We'll take this to court. When they left, Nena sank into her chair, trembling. Momatob found her there minutes later, her face buried in her hands. Madam, waiting happen. The past, Nena whispered, has finally come to collect its debt. Momatob placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Then pay am with love, Mo. No with fear. Outside, the rain began again, soft this time, not the angry kind that brings destruction, but the steady kind that washes everything clean. And somewhere in the nursery, the twins stirred, unaware that their innocence had just ignited a battle between blood and grace. The days that followed were heavy, not with rain, but with dread. News traveled through Port Harcourt like oil on water. Lady Nenechek hides the late senator's secret twins. It began with whispers in salons and church gatherings, then grew into headlines that glittered on phones and television screens. Her driver stopped tuning into the radio, afraid she might overhear. But Nena didn't need the news, she felt the judgment in the way people now looked at her. She had spent her life mastering the art of grace under scrutiny. Yet this was different. This was personal, cruelly intimate, a storm that dragged her husband's sins out of the grave and nailed them to her heart. Barrister Onwechekwa arrived one humid morning carrying a new stack of papers. Madam, he said carefully, the Chek family has filed a petition with the High Court. They seek custody of the twins, claiming you have no legal right to them. Nena's fingers tightened around her teacup. Did you file our response? Yes, Mo. We're requesting temporary guardianship until a full hearing is held. But what? They've hired Chief Amodi's firm. It will be messy. Her lips curled slightly. Let them come. I fought men worse than Amodi in council halls. Still, when the lawyer left, she sat in silence for a long time, watching sunlight scatter across the marble floor. Compassion and pain wrestled within her like two halves of the same heart. She had every reason to hate the children, every reason to hand them over and free herself. But she couldn't. They had her husband's blood, yes, but they also had her humanity. That afternoon, Chuka found her sitting on the back veranda, eyes distant. Madam, he said softly, them talk for gate say some people won't take the twins. Not true. Nena exhaled slowly. Yes. The man who was their father, his family believes they belong to them. Chuka frowned deeply. But you be the one we save them. You be the one we give them life again. Those other people no even know say them exist. I know. So why you no tell them no? She smiled faintly. Because life is not as simple as the word no. There are laws, Chuka. He stepped closer, his young face fierce. Then make the law fear you, madam. No, let them take them. You hear? She studied him, touched by his boldness. You care for them deeply. He nodded, eyes bright. They be my family. I no fit let anybody carry them go. Her voice softened. And what if they ask me to choose between keeping them and keeping my peace? He hesitated, then whispered, peace no mean anything if heart they empty. The words, simple as they were, struck deep. That night, Unable to sleep, Nena wandered into the nursery. Moonlight poured through the curtains, silvering the cribs. Eudora was awake, staring at the ceiling, her tiny hand reaching toward the light. Somto snored softly beside her. Nena sat down beside the crib and whispered, "Your father hurt me more than I ever thought possible. But he gave me you. Maybe that was heaven's way of mending what he broke." She reached out, letting Eudora wrap her tiny fingers around hers. The warmth of that small hand, innocent, trusting, melted something inside her. For the first time since Obina's death, she cried not from grief, but from release. 2 days later, she received a visit from Bishop Is, her late husband's old spiritual advisor. The elderly man's white cassock gleamed in the sunlight as he entered the parlor. "Daughter," he said gently, "I've come because I hear the city talking. They say you're fighting the family in court." "Yes, Bishop. They want to take the twins." He nodded slowly. "Do you believe God sent them to you?" Nena's throat tightened. "I don't know. All I know is, when I found them, I felt sin. As if God had not forgotten me." The bishop smiled. "Then hold on to that. Sometimes God uses pain to return us to love. If you must fight, fight with grace." She bowed her head. "Pray for me." "I already do, every morning," he said softly. "But remember, forgiveness does not mean surrender. It means standing firm with mercy." After he left, Nena stood by the window long after the sound of his car faded. Standing firm with mercy. The word settled over her like a quiet blessing. When she went to the nursery that evening, Chuka was there again, humming. The twins sat on the rug, clapping to his rhythm. Nene joined them, sitting cross-legged, something she hadn't done in decades. They all laughed when Somto tried to mimic her stern face, puffing his cheeks. The sound of that laughter, shared, genuine, healing, filled the room. Momato peeked in, smiling. "Madam, see as you dey shine now. Even the ancestors go happy." Nene chuckled softly. "Maybe they are." But deep down she knew, the true battle hadn't yet begun. Soon the court would summon her, and the world would demand she justify love in the language of law. And when that day came, she would not hide. Because for the first time in years, compassion had given her strength greater than power. The morning of the hearing arrived heavy with humidity and whispers. Port Harcourt's air was thick, as though the city itself waited to see what the widow of the great Obinechek would do. Outside the courthouse, journalists swarmed like restless birds, cameras flashing, microphones thrust forward. "Lady Chike. Ma, how do you respond to the claims? Are the twins truly the late senator's children? Is it true you've refused the Chike family settlement offer?" Nena stepped out of her black SUV wearing a cream wrapper embroidered with gold, her head tie high and immaculate. She didn't flinch at the noise. She simply said, "No comment," and walked inside, her heels clicking against the marble like the ticking of a war drum. Behind her, Chuka followed quietly, holding a small cloth bag. Inside it were 2 beaded bracelets, one red, one white, that belonged to the twins. For luck, he had whispered that morning. He wasn't allowed inside the courtroom, but his presence steadied her as she entered the hall. The courtroom was a theater of tension. On one side sat Auntie Kizoba and her entourage, dressed in black lace as though attending a funeral. Beside her, Chief Amodi smirked, a predator who smelled victory. On the other side sat Nena, alone except for Barrister Onwochekwa and a quiet file of documents that could barely speak for the storm inside her. When the judge, Justice Akunis, a stern woman with the patience of stone, entered, the murmurs ceased. "This court recognizes the matter of guardianship over the minors, Eudora and Somto Chike," the clerk announced. Kezoba's lawyer rose first, voice crisp. "My lord, the Chaik family seeks custody of the late Senator Obinna Chaik's biological children, who are currently in the care of the respondent, Lady Nene Chaik. While we acknowledge her charity, blood must return to blood. A hum passed through the room. Barrister Onwechekwa stood next. My lord, the respondent does not dispute the children's paternity. But she is the only guardian who has provided for them since their discovery. The petitioner's claim of biological superiority ignores the welfare and safety of the minors. Justice Akunis adjusted her glasses. Lady Nena, do you wish to speak? Nena rose. The hall quieted. My lord, she began, voice even but thick with emotion, these children came into my life through tragedy. They were found in the rain, helpless, unwanted. I did not take them in because of who their father was. I took them in because no one else would. If blood is the only measure of love, then this world is a cruel place indeed. My husband's family had years to show compassion, but they did not. Now they come for these children only because of the name they carry. Kizoba shot to her feet. You have no right to speak of compassion when you've hidden our bloodline from us. Justice Akunis slammed her gavel. Sit down, madam. The echo silenced everyone. Nena continued, her voice softening. My husband's mistakes do not belong to these children. His choices were his. I have made mine, to protect them, not as a widow seeking redemption, but as a woman who refuses to let the sins of the past destroy innocence. A murmur rippled through the spectators, journalists scribbling, cameras blinking like restless fireflies. Even Chief Amodi, for all his arrogance, seemed briefly uncertain. The judge leaned back, regarding her with quiet intensity. Lady Nena, are you prepared for the weight of what you are asking? You will face scrutiny, scorn, perhaps even isolation. Nena met her gaze. I already live with ghosts, my lord. The living cannot frighten me. A small smile flickered across the judge's lips. Very well. This court will deliberate and reconvene in 7 days. The gavel struck again, sealing the moment in history. Outside, the courthouse steps overflowed with questions. Lady Chaik, are you adopting them permanently? Did your husband hide the affair? Will you forgive the Chaik family? Nena ignored them all. She saw only Chuka waiting by the car, clutching the bracelets. When she reached him, he looked up anxiously. Madam. She knelt slightly so her eyes met his. It's not over, Chuka. But I did not break. He smiled in relief. God day, Ma. You go win. She touched his cheek lightly. I hope so. For them. That evening, as the twins slept, she sat by the window with the bracelets in her lap. She thought of the court, the noise, the eyes watching her every breath, and then she thought of Obinna, the man who had once promised her forever and left her with silence. She whispered into the night, you gave me sorrow, Obinna. But somehow, you also gave me purpose. The air outside shifted, carrying the faint scent of rain. For the first time in many years, she didn't feel cursed. She felt chosen. And as thunder rolled distantly over Elelenwo, Lady Nene Chaik closed her eyes and prepared for whatever the next battle would bring, not as a grieving widow, but as a woman reborn in the fire of her own compassion. The 7 days that followed were a slow march through tension and prayer. Every corner of Port Harcourt seemed to buzz with one question: would the widow keep the twins, or would the Chaik bloodline reclaim its name? In the newspapers, columnists argued about legacy and morality. On talk shows, self-appointed moralists debated her choices. In churches, women whispered, "Ihia, that fine widow they suffer again." And through it all, Lady Nene Chaik moved like the calm eye of a hurricane, her voice soft, her composure still. But at night, when the lights dimmed and the house went still, she knelt before her late husband's photo. I could forgive you, she whispered, if forgiveness didn't taste so much like ashes. The morning of the final hearing came with a strange stillness, no rain, no wind, just a quiet sky heavy with waiting. Nana dressed simply this time, a deep blue lace, her hair tied in a single knot. No jewelry, no makeup. Only the truth. Before she left, she stopped in the nursery. The twins were awake, babbling to each other in that secret language only children knew. Chuka was helping Somto put on tiny socks. She bent to kiss them both. Mama will come back soon, she whispered. Ma? Chuka asked, eyes uncertain. If anything happens, she said, holding his hand, you take them and run. Don't look back. He blinked. Run, go where? Anywhere the world is kind. He nodded solemnly, though his lip trembled. As she turned to leave, Edoa reached out her tiny hand, grasping the air. Nana caught it and smiled faintly. That's right, my daughter. Hold on to me, even if the world lets go. At the courthouse, tension hung like humidity. The gallery was packed, journalists, relatives, curious strangers, all waiting for a verdict that felt bigger than law. Justice Akunis entered, robe flowing, face unreadable. This court, she began, has considered the evidence, testimony, and welfare of the minors involved. The question before us is not simply of inheritance, but of humanity. A hush rippled through the room. She looked toward Nana. Lady Chaik, you have shown care and protection for these children since the day of their discovery. Your actions reflect both responsibility and love. Then her gaze shifted to Kezoba. The petitioner's argument rests solely on biological entitlement. While blood may define ancestry, it does not define parenthood. Chief Amodi stirred uncomfortably. Justice Akunis continued, her voice clear, in the eyes of this court, the best interest of the children must prevail. Therefore, custody and guardianship of Edora and Somto Chaik are hereby granted to Lady Nana Chaik, until such a time the minors reach maturity. Gasps filled the room. Nana closed her eyes. For a moment, she couldn't breathe, not from shock, but from the sheer weight of grace. Kezoba rose abruptly. My lord, this is injustice. Those children bear our blood. Justice Akunis looked at her family. Then honored that blood by letting them live in peace. The gavel came down once more. The case was closed. Outside, the crowd erupted. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted. But Nana didn't speak. She only lifted her head toward the gray sky, tears glistening like the first drops of mercy. Chuka ran to her, barefoot despite the courthouse marble. Madam. We win. She knelt, pulling him into her arms. Yes, my son. We win. The boy grinned through his tears. I talk am. God no dey sleep. That evening, the house on ABA Road was alive again. Mama Tope cooked bitter leaf soup until the air smelled of home. Neighbors came by quietly, some to congratulate, others to gossip. But Nana stayed upstairs, sitting by the twins' crib, lost in the rhythm of their breathing. Chuka entered softly, holding a folded paper. Madam, I make something. He handed it to her. On it was a childish drawing, stick figures, one tall woman, one boy, and two small twins holding hands. Below it, he had written in wobbly letters. Our family. Her breath caught. Chuka, where did you learn to draw this? He shrugged. I just try. But see, that one know you. You dey smile small. She smiled for real this time. It's beautiful. He hesitated. Madam, you think them really be my brother and sister? She looked at him, heart swelling. Maybe not by blood. But by love, yes. He nodded solemnly. Then I go protect them forever. Later, she went to her late husband's portrait. The man in the frame smiled that same charming smile, the smile that had once blinded her, and later, betrayed her. She touched the edge of the frame gently. Obina, she whispered, you left me with ghosts. But I turned them into light. Then she turned away, not with bitterness, but with peace. That night, as the rain finally returned, Lady Nenechak stepped outside barefoot. The palms whispered in the wind, their leaves heavy with water. She looked up and let the rain touch her face. Sometimes, she thought, the heart must be broken before it can hold love without fear. And as thunder rolled softly in the distance, she whispered a new prayer, not for vengeance, not for victory, but for strength to live gently in a world that had taught her to fight. The months after the court victory unfolded like the slow bloom of harmattan flowers. The gossip faded, the headlines dimmed, and Port Harcourt, ever hungry for new scandals, moved on. But inside the mansion on ABA Road, something had changed forever. Laughter lived there now. Real laughter, not the kind she once wore like jewelry at campaign dinners, but the kind that bubbled up unplanned, like a spring breaking through stone. The twins were walking. Eudora, always the careful one, took tiny measured steps. Sumto ran like he was chasing the wind. And Chuka, faithful Chuka, had become their teacher, their protector, and, in his own quiet way, their brother. The once cold house was now a home. On the morning of the anniversary of Senator Obinechak's death, Lady Nena woke early. The city was still, blanketed in mist. She dressed in white, not in mourning, but in peace, and took the children to Elelenwo, where the senator had been buried. The drive was long and quiet. Chuka sat beside her in the back seat, the twins on his lap. When they arrived, the ground was damp from last night's rain. The palm tree swayed softly, whispering like old friends. Nena laid fresh lilies on the grave. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, slowly, she began to speak, not to the man beneath the earth, but to the memory of him. You were a great man, Obina, she said quietly. But greatness does not shield a heart from weakness. You broke mine, and yet, somehow, your choices brought me these 3 gifts. She turned to the children, who were giggling over a butterfly resting on the tombstone. They carry your face, she continued, but they will grow with my heart. She bowed her head, the wind catching her wrapper. I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. A silence followed, deep, reverent, final. Then Chuka knelt beside her, setting the twins down. Madam, he said softly, see, the rain won't start again. Indeed, a drizzle had begun, gentle, cleansing, the kind of rain that feels like a benediction. She smiled faintly. Let it come. The twins squealed, chasing raindrops. Chuka laughed and joined them, his laughter pure and bright. And for a moment, Nena just stood there, her heart open, her grief finally turning into grace. In the weeks that followed, Nena began something new, the Elelenwo Foundation for Children of the Storm. Its purpose was simple, to care for abandoned and displaced children across the Niger Delta. When journalists came to cover the opening, she gave a short speech beneath the fluttering canopies. I once believed loss was a punishment, she said, her voice carrying over the crowd. But sometimes, loss is a path, one that leads us to the family we were meant to find. Applause rippled gently. Behind her, the twins sat on Chuka's lap, waving at the guests. A little girl in the front row called out, Auntie Nena, who are those children? She smiled, eyes soft. They are my story. That evening, after everyone had gone, she stood alone by the water. The sun was sinking over the mangroves, painting the river gold. She thought of everything she had endured, betrayal, loneliness, judgment, and how each had been a wave that tried to drown her. Yet somehow, the same storm that once threatened her life had delivered her a new one. She whispered to the horizon, "Love came to me in the rain, and I was wise enough not to shut the door." The breeze stirred the palms again, gentle, knowing, endless. As darkness settled over Port Harcourt, Lady Nenechek returned home. In the nursery, the twins slept peacefully, their breathing a lullaby. Chuka slept beside their cribs, one arm draped protectively over the rug. Nena watched them for a long moment. Then she turned off the light, whispering softly, "Sometimes, the family we find in the storm becomes the light that saves us." Outside, the palms swayed beneath the moonlight. And above the city of oil and rain, the heavens finally cleared, calm, luminous, and full of grace. In the days that followed, people of Port Harcourt would whisper the tale of Lady Nenechek, the widow who found her healing in the rain. They said the heavens themselves chose her, not to be mother by birth, but by mercy. They said when the storms returned each season, children at Elelenwo would laugh and run outside, singing, "Rain no dey kill who get heart pure like Mama Nena." And in the foundation she built, hundreds of small hands found food, warmth, and the kind of love that cannot be bought. Time passed. The twins grew strong, Chuka grew wise, and the mansion that once echoed with silence became a house of music and prayer. Elders began to tell her story to young wives, reminding them that dignity is not in the rings we wear, but in the hearts we heal. And when people asked how she survived betrayal and shame, Nena would simply smile and say, "When the rain falls, don't curse the sky. Sometimes, God hides his blessings inside the storm."